Hi, my name is Mario Portugal. I'm a California licensed attorney. I recently was admitted to the bar, and the reason of this video is to share my experiences and my tactics to passing the bar here in California. The California bar is a 2-day exam. In the morning and the afternoon on the first day, we got the written portion of the exam. We got 5 questions on the essay type, and then at the end of the day there is one question that is a Pta Performance Test, which is a closed universe test. They provide you with a library, the facts. Basically you have to use those documents plus a memo that tells you what is the legal issue and what type of documents do they want you to draft. The PT usually takes 1.5 hours, and the most common type of documents required for applicants to draft are memorandums and also letters to the client or opposing counsel. So every document got a different type of format and also different style, mostly persuasive or argumentative. Or it could be a neutral if it's for your own firm. So basically, if they ask you to draft a document for your supervising attorney or for somebody in your firm, you have to be point of view neutral and basically argue both sides and show your supervising attorney or your firm the strong points and also the weakness in their arguments and how to overcome those issues. And then if it's a document meant to be served on the opposing party, then the style is argumentative, and basically an argumentative document only emphasizes on your client's position in a persuasive manner to actually achieve your client's goals. And all those goals, the legal issues, and the format required is presented in the memo. So the way how I face the PTs for me were key, because as a foreign attorney, I actually got my LLB from Peru, and then I came here to America to continue my studies, and then I did an LLM degree. So what I see in most of the foreign attorneys, either English speaking or English as a second language as myself, is like they got a weakness on the written portion of the test. So for me it was key to actually score really high on the multiple choice questions. The multiple choice questions are 200 questions that are given on the second day. Basically breaks in the morning and the afternoon. 100 questions, 3 hours in the morning, 300 questions, additional 100 questions in the afternoon for a total of 200. Each question got 4 multiple choice options, and for me it was key to actually practice with real questions. So one of the techniques that I used and the supplemental materials was the manual book. The manual book basically gives you the strategies and tactics for the MBE, and they actually got licensed a number of questions from the real test, former tests that were given by the California bar examiners. Those questions are actually draft for the NCBE. For me, it was key to practice with real questions. The reason why is even though they are not gonna test the same questions twice, it gives you the strategies and also it gives you the black letter law. Because on the MBE, it's basically a number of mini essays, the way how I see it. Basically, they try to trick you. Everybody knows the rules, so it was for me fundamental to practice and see how they trick people. One of the most common tricks that I've seen is that they test people in really bizarre rules. So it was really key for me to actually learn the nuisance and also practice my timing. So it was key for me to actually use 1.8 minutes, which is give and take the breakdown for each individual questions, and also compartmentalize each of my answers, meaning not get emotional and be really strategic. Because if I didn't know one question or the question was too long, my technique was basically either skip it or just choose C and then mark the question down, and if I got additional time at the end, come back to that and actually spend more time. Because realistically, if I wouldn't spend that time going over the allotted time for each individual questions, chances are I might get it wrong if I didn't actually knew the specific sub area of law that they were testing. So for me, it was just basically stay on the clock, be really strategic, not take any bad or uncertain answer personally, and just be focused on the next one and try to cover as many as I could, finish on time and see all the questions, and then if I got additional time, coming back to those. So also for me, it was key actually trying more than one method. I initially took Kaplan bar review. I didn't like the way how Kaplan actually prepares students. They give you a lot of information. The lectures were really robust in the black letter law and the nuances, but I was actually expecting more advice and actually tricks on how to actually master and how to compress all those black letters into a more manageable bar review. So the first time that I took the bar, I didn't pass it with Kaplan, but the second time around, I actually got a friend that was a Barbie rep, and he actually showed me on Barbie. He told me like most of the examiners and also attorneys reviewing my exam likely took Barbie because it's the most used bar prep course out there. So the second time around, I actually signed up with Barbie, and they actually were really good in the lectures. They actually were more spot on in my personal view, and they have a lot of tips, which is something that I was really looking after. Because if you are a foreign attorney as myself, I didn't took those first year law courses that actually are tested in the MBE, which are critical to master. So I actually learned those during my bar prep. Bar prep usually takes 2 months, so it was fundamental to actually set aside time and just only focus on the bar during those 2 months, meaning trying to be detached from family, friends, and also not working at all during those 2 months. Because a lot of family members and friends, they tell you, oh, like you should take a break, or maybe don't stress out, or like just study lightly, so you actually are rested for the actual test. I mean, some of that advice might be useful, but unless you actually went through it, it's really hard to advise somebody on how to actually prepare for the bar. So I try to be detached from family and friends during those 2 months, so I actually could take advice from people that actually took the bar. And the bar actually have some free resources as well that recently released. They got a mentorship program where attorneys actually tell examinees some of their tricks on how to study and pass the bar. I actually heard from another licensed attorney here in California. He gave me advice to actually make sure to put down all the rules in a brief format. Make sure to write something really brief underneath, so you make sure that you got some arguments and also your conclusion. And then if you have additional time for the essay questions, go back to them and actually try to make your arguments stronger. And actually that was a technique that I actually applied to myself. So I make sure that I actually have a complete answer, because the essays, they take 1 hour each, and really key and fundamental is actually to give a complete answer. Another technique that I use for the essays is I try to study former essays, even though chances are they might not be retested. A lot of them are similar and repetitive, because there is just so many ways that they can test you about one single topic. So chances are they already have something similar. And for me, key was actually paying close attention to the call of the question, starting there, and many times the call of the question tells you what they are testing for. And if you don't get it from the call, just go one paragraph over, make sure that you identify the subject, and try to put yourself in the position of the drafter of the question to see what do they want to test you in that particular question, what rules, what law, and then what arguments and conclusions they might be looking for. Because chances are, if you have a question that is similar to the template, even if you're not spot on, if you just kind of mirror that template, chances are you're going to score a passing answer or really high answer that might place you in a stronger position in another question that you might not know, because it's also true that sometimes they throw out questions that you might not know. So in that scenario, you just, even if you don't know the law, you just make it up and answer it the best of your knowledge, and make sure that you have mostly a complete answer, and then you move on and try to make up points in the next one. Because after 2 months in law school, if you don't know an answer, chances are many students are not gonna know it as well. So it's critical that you actually have like a really strategic mindset during the test, that you perform on time. Because let's face it, if it wouldn't be a time exam, it wouldn't be easy for everybody to pass it. So you just have to make sure to practice to have a complete answer during the time. Practice with former questions. There are actually a lot of resources that might help you to supplement your bar review, because it's key to have a bar review for the substantive law. On my experience, bar review is a good one, but I mean, any bar review, to be honest, might be helpful. But then also I recommend strongly to supplement our bar review with other resources. I already mentioned that the Emmanuel Bar Review is a good supplemental resource for the MBEs, for the multiple bar examination questions on the second day, because what I found really useful also was their answers. Because even if you just practice the MBEs without a substantive law, chances are you might learn a lot just by reviewing the answers. Even if you think you got it right and that you know the answer, it is a good practice to review, especially wrong answers, and also the ones that you got correct, just to make sure that you got it right for the right reasons. So another resource that it was really useful for the essays, it was the CalWhistle. That's a free website, and they got tons of bar essays and answers made by also students that pass the bar, and they, well, passing and not passing, they just use the selected answers from the bar examiners that they publish. So they have many resources on that site. And as I mentioned before, it's key for me to outline and spot the issues that it might be tested and try to mirror what the bar examiners might be looking for. So that might actually help you to score really high. Because other of the resources that I use is Bar Secrets. They got a free blog, and they actually are pretty good trying to predict some of the subjects. That actually put me on ease, because I was trying to predict the questions, especially for the written portion myself. So the way how I face it is, I knew that professional responsibility was a given because it's always tested. So I made sure to actually master that topic. Then also I knew that statistically contracts and torts are really heavy tested, either one of those two or the two combined. So chances are I can get up to 3 essays if I master those 3 areas. And then the PT is always there. So if I actually master those, I should be able to have at least 4 subjects. And as I mentioned, with professional responsibility, really key to understand and also differentiate California and ABA authorities, and the same with other topics that are tested. So basically for the MBE, you have to master those 8 subjects, because they might come not only in the second day, but also in the first day, and those subjects are constitutional law, contracts and estates, criminal law, criminal procedure, evidence, and federal civil procedure, and real property. And out of those 8 subjects, evidence might also be tested in the essay portion, either federal or California evidence, and also federal civil procedure might be tested as a federal law or California law. Under the California only subjects, we have agency and partnerships, California civil procedure, community property, corporations, and also the performance test. Remedies, professional responsibility, trust, wills, and really key for me, it was master those 8 on the MBE portion of the test, because some of them might also come in the California only portion of the exam. And out of the first day on the California essays and also PT, really make sure to master ethics, contracts, torts, and the PT. And for the PT, there is no way around but practice. There is a lot of students that they either make a draft or they only overlook it because they go like, oh, I did a memo back law school and I have this down. But the PT is different in the bar exam as any other subject, where most students spend the whole semester. Here you just have to crunch it in 2 months, and they are looking for some specific rules and nuances of the law that you really have to take down, understand, and make sure that you don't fall in the trap. There are other resources that are for free, and one that I use is on the website Wine Timers. They got a bar exam calculator. Every time that I took a simulation, I make sure to actually input my scores in there that actually let you know how you might be able to perform and whether you'll be able to pass the bar exam based on your simulations. And another tool that I use is Bar Secrets also have an outline online, and also they have the simulations and grading. The grading portion of that, combined in the packet, it was really useful to me because as I mentioned, as a foreign attorney, I try to improve my written skills, and the way how I actually improve them is not by typing or managing my speed, because everybody that is actually sitting in the test, they had those skills. It's just that in my personal experience as a foreign attorney, you actually need some specific analysis that I believe there might be some cultural challenges that might actually impact your written portion, rather than per se some of the skills that everybody has and the law that everybody has. It's just some cultural challenges that might actually set the foreign students a little behind in some cases. So really fundamental for me was to use the grading, because in the grading, what I found myself is that many times I got the right law, I got the right analysis, but it wasn't responsive to the call of the question. So that actually helped me to improve my issue spotting skills, and also taking some advice from the graders, as they were like the actual bar examination graders. They actually told me like how to improve in some areas, especially in the PTs. They basically told me how to have a complete answer just by unifying all the resources that I provided already on the facts, making sure that I have more facts and how to present them. It was key and fundamental for me. So I'm gonna be leaving in the description box some of the free resources, and then I also believe that it's key and fundamental to have a good outline, especially because the bar exam for me, it was sort of study one subject, go to the next one, and then come back to the first one, and so on, just to make sure that I actually got that on the back of my head, because on the bar exam you don't know which essay they're gonna be testing at. So you cannot actually have some order on regards of the topic, so you have to be ready for any question that they might throw at you. So for that, I mean, really hard for me was just coming back to the lecture, so I make sure that I actually have a strong outline, especially by the end of my studies, so I can go back to them and refresh my memory and try to utilize it with some key and nuances of the law that I thought that it might be really fundamental for me and also my testing skills. So I'm gonna be trying to post those outlines that I have with the black letter law, because that's another key. Like, you need to have and slap down for the really heavy tested rules of law, like evidence on hearsay, and also logical and legal relevance. Really key to have those slapped down so you don't waste any time during the real test and you just go with a brief description of the law and then a really robust analysis and a really spot-on conclusion that is actually responsive to the call of the question. So making sure that you have that. And then for the MBE, really is be focused, then be strategic, don't be emotional, and be on time so you can have a complete answer. So I'm gonna be leaving those resources that are for free here at the description box. Then if you're not part of this channel, please like and subscribe and share this information with somebody that you might believe that might benefit from it. If you'd like to hear more about these topics or any other topics, please leave it in the box below. I make sure to read all of you. And then if you want me to actually go further on getting more information for foreign attorneys that like to practice law in the US, I always receive many questions and I try to do my best and respond them. But then if you guys want it here, so you might have a resource that you can always come back, please leave it here, leave your comments, and then I'll be reading them. So thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment box below. Thank you for watching.